was that? Like, what was that? Can somebody please tell me what we all just watched? What was that? Honestly, the epitome of what has been the 2024 college football season resided out in Como on a Saturday night. Welcome on into the SEC Unfiltered postgame show. He's Dave Shumate. I'm Cole Thompson, breaking down everything that we saw as Drew Pine. Try saying that a couple weeks ago. Drew Pine found a way to pull off the comeback miracle, and the defense delivered as Missouri gets a 30-23 win over Oklahoma. Real quickly, make sure that you like the video, hit that ring notification, and smash the subscribe button because we're talking college football every single day, including about what the hell we watched out in Columbia. And we also got post-game shows, instant reactions, Sunday Fun Day, Dave Talk Ball, Monday Morning Power Hour, the college football playoff rankings, with Missouri is going to stay alive, and my Tigers, which I didn't believe in, which I'm very ashamed of myself for. But regardless, make sure that you hit that ring notification. That way you can keep up to date. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow us on the socials, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at SEC Unfiltered. Follow Dave at Mark 10 Sports, me at Mr. Cole Thompson, and check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. This post-game show is brought to you by our friends over at GameTime. Download the GameTime app and use that promo code SECU for $20 off your first purchase. And guys, this is not only for game days on Saturdays. This is for basketball. This is for baseball. If you got a favorite concert that you want to go to, a comedy show in your hometown, make sure that you go to the GameTime app. Use that promo code SECU for $20 off your very first purchase. GameTime is here to give you the time of your life, so make sure you use that promo code SECU. Dave, what the hell was that? Honestly, I don't know what to make right now. But we have had 30 minutes to decompress, and I'm still sitting here trying to figure out, number one, why am I the worst individual that has ever been alive? Oh, wait, I can answer that. I'm a bandwagon fan, and I gave up on my Mizzou Tigers at the wrong time. And number two, how is Drew Pine able to do that? What did we watch? Because the last 10 minutes of that game was worth the price of admission. The first half, it had its highs and lows. Good defensive performance. Corey Batoon balled out. Zach Alley and Brent Venables balled out. But that final 10 minutes worth every single second and a perfect epitome of what we have seen for the 2024 college football season.
Yeah, no, I mean, kind of a sloppy game across the board, but you're right. I was wrong. I didn't think Drew Pine would be able to do that after what you saw against Auburn, what you saw against Alabama. Give him credit, man. He wasn't bad tonight. 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 0 turnovers is always key to me. It's a guy that when I was always evaluating quarterbacks, that would always come off. It's like, dude, as long as your completion percentage was above 65% and you didn't turn the football over, dude, that would go a long way in not losing football games. Give him credit tonight against a good Oklahoma defense. But Cole, what is going on? Oklahoma's offense.
This
is a bad loss. Let's call a spade, too, dude. This is a bad loss for Brent Venables.
It's almost an inexcusable loss because you want to what? I'll give a lot of credit. Missouri balled out. Missouri's defense delivered. Corey Batoon, you're getting a pay raise this offseason. I'll tell you what. That's a performance that you can hold your hat on to because they stepped on up. And I'm not talking about the big scoop and score in the fourth quarter with less than a minute left to be able to go ahead and secure a victory. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact in the first half when your quarterback couldn't do a damn thing, couldn't make a play happen, couldn't find any success. It didn't matter because of all it was field goals. It was 2 field goals that separated you from really what was an overall performance of Jackson Arnold not being able to feel consistency with the with the play calling. More importantly, the run game was docile. And that's testament to what we see for the defense. That's a major testament for what we see for this defense this year.
No, I 100% totally agree with you. You got to give Missouri their flowers, too. Again, you get any kind of win with your backup quarterback in today's game. That is impressive. Will they get Brady Cook back at some point again? Missouri's still on track, Cole, right now. 10-2. Got a big one next week against Beamer and the boys. Where, Drinkowitz, give him credit. He's never lost to Beamer. I think this will be a tough one next week, though.
It'll be a tough one next week if it is Drew Pine again, because I'm not sure we can find this magic. But then again, I didn't think we were going to find that magic after the Brady Cook miracle in the fourth quarter against Auburn. I have no idea what to think that was. But still, Here we are today.
No, but from a Missouri standpoint, 10-2, technically still on the table. It feels weird saying that, Cole, because when you're talking about Missouri now, since they've had the injuries against Brady Cook, how they played against Auburn, got blown out against Alabama, it's been kind of like it's like we kind of forgot about him a little bit. And again, it wasn't all pretty tonight, but again, with your second string quarterback, it's not. You just find a way to win a football game, and Eli Drinkwitz still just being a straight savage in post-game press conferences again. I saw he said Bob Stoops, what did he say, something about Bob Stoops being wrong or something, and that Missouri's not getting their ass kicked against Oklahoma anymore. So I saw it posted on Twitter. I was like, he had to go say something after that game.
Of course he did. But here's a fun stat line. Tackles for losses. 7 on the night, 3 sacks. The fact that they were able to still get pressure on this Oklahoma offense, an offense that was getting healthy at the right time. Because for the last few weeks, what have we talked about with Oklahoma? Well, they don't have a number 1 wide receiver. Well, they're missing some talent on the outside. Deion Burks played. They had weapons tonight. It wasn't just J.J. Hester. It wasn't just Bauer Sharp. It wasn't just Jake Roberts. They had weapons. And it didn't matter because of the defense stepped on up when it came to the secondary. They were able to create turnover. They were able to create turnovers. They were able to create force incompletions. The pass rush was able to get the backfield. They basically took out Taylor Tatum in this game. And it took a little bit of trickery for Oklahoma's offense to finally come to life. If it wasn't for that, this was a game that Mizzou, even if it didn't feel comfortable with Drew Pine, 1 touchdown was enough. The Theo Wee score would have sufficed in that moment.
Yeah, it was a hell of a toe tapper. I mean, Missouri was, again, with your backup quarterback, give Kirby Moore and Eli Drinkwitz credit, 11 for 19 on third down. A lot of teams aren't going to do that with their backup quarterback. That's impressive enough right there. Yeah, I mean, this is just a find a way, some way, somehow. This hit the over, so I apologize for everybody who took the under because, I mean, they did scream that.
I swore I was going to take the under. I swore.
I mean, again, it's one of those things, would you bet it again? And most people would be like, yeah, with the information I had at hand at the time, I would bet that again. Just like I'd probably bet Oklahoma to win the game again because I did not expect that from Drew Pine. But, yeah, I mean, take it for what it is. Again, I think more of kind of a massive loss for Oklahoma long-term than a big win for Missouri. But, again, Missouri's still on track, 10-2, which is wild because who they got left? They got Mississippi State, at South Carolina, and Arkansas.
That's it. It's possible.
I'm not saying 3 of them are winnable. I mean,
I'm not saying they will, but it is. It is possible. It's really possible. Now, again, you have to see this type of performance and even a little bit more from the run game when it comes to the offense because Kirby Moore, I think that he had to start turning towards Drew Pine, but it is possible. And speaking of Drew Pine, Missouri, I'm sorry. I as a typical bandwagon fan, I bailed a little bit too early. When things got tough, I didn't stay true to my word, and that's my fault. I apologize to you. Drew Pine played well enough, especially in the second half. When you look at the numbers, if you say, hey, he went 14-27 for 143 yards, and he found the end zone 3 times, you're not going to complain that much because he's a backup. He's a guy that you didn't plan to be in this matchup when the game was set. You figured that maybe Brady Cook coming off of a bye week, even though he was dealing with the ankle injury, might be able to come on out. And things change if that was the performance. But ultimately, that wasn't the case. And instead, Mizzou delivered, and it was a wacky finish. I mean, it was one of the most docile, it was one of the most chaotic games we've seen in 2024. In fact, those last 5 minutes might as well sum up how the rest of the game went. It was that overall just dreadful at times, but still, it was fun. It was exciting. You got to give credit where credit's due. Kid played out. And more importantly, he played out and made 3 critical throws that were the difference in this game.
No, I totally agree with you. No, some way, somehow, he was probably one of the probably the underrated performer of the weekend in the SEC, where he came out and kind of like, okay, I see you, big dog. I did not expect that. Like the unexpected surprise award this week in the SEC, in my opinion, goes to Drew Pine. I don't even know if there's a close second. I mean, I guess Alabama just completely kind of shutting down LSU defensively would have been right up there. But given all things considered, what I've seen with my 2 eyes with Drew Pine against Auburn and against Alabama, I did not expect that against who we know is a good Oklahoma defense.
I think the other thing that was really important was that the defense did such a good job. I mean, not only was this a overall solid performance when it comes to what was Drew Pine. I mean, they were 11 of 19 on third down. They had 19 first downs. I figured maybe at 10 at the most. I figured maybe, I don't know, we'd be talking about 6 third down conversions at the most. Like none of that I thought ever was possible. But a third string backup, a guy who was not expected to do much, basically a graduate who was there to finish up and get a degree from a big-time school. That was it. The fact that they were able to hold Oklahoma's offense to a 33.3% conversion rate on third down, 5 of 15. I mean, that's why you say to yourself, okay, whether or not Mizzou is an overrated team, because some people are going to say that they haven't played a convincing game to where they get a win against a signature marquee program. Overall, it's very hard to say to yourself, when you give a team that is 5 of 15 on third down, forcing a ton of punts. Oh, and by the way, you also get 3 sacks and 8 tackles for losses. That's not a performance that you can be proud of, especially in your home backyard with literally no run game and a third-string quarterback.
Turnovers.
Yeah, exactly. You add all that together. The fumbles in this game, too. The fact that you were able to force them. Critical at the right time.
Yeah. No, give the defense credit. Good on third down and force turnovers. That's a good recipe for success. So, yeah, I mean, Missouri scraps out a big win. Give them credit.
I think you also got to give a lot of credit. Brett Norfleet coming up at the big time pass. You know, he makes it in 16-9, 6'7" tight end, guy who was, for my money, going to be an underrated player in the SEC. You finally get to see what that value is. And then, of course, you also get Zion Young. I mean, Zion Young, he was talking about in the postgame show, they were mentioning how he had never been a part of a winning team. The best that he saw when he was at Michigan State was a 6-win season. He wanted to make sure that that was a much more complete performance. Steps on up. Big time breakaway turnover, and then you're just in the right place at the right time to scoop and score. Farote Field loses its mind. Blake Craig gets the PAT. You're starting to feel the vibes are coming your way, and now you're sitting at 7-2. I mean, overall, when you look at this performance from a standpoint of what to expect versus what you got, it's really hard to nitpick when talking about this game, especially in favor of Mizzou, because again, you have to throw in the background that this was not a team that was banking on their quarterback to be the last resort guy. I think that's the biggest takeaway that I have is the last resort guy, and yet you still delivered.
Yeah. No, I agree from Missouri's perspective.
Let's talk about Oklahoma's perspective, because I'm not sure if we have much to say. I mean, number one, if you were Joe John Finley and you were Kevin Johns and you were trying to get the offensive coordinator job, goodbye. I mean, there's no shot.
Any confidence you had in Jackson Arnold right now? I mean, it could come back. You see the ability, but it's a bad game when you thought he was taking a step forward. I mean, Oklahoma could legitimately, I mean, they're going to be favored to go 1-7 in league play in their opening.
When you go 15 of 14 and you average 3.1 yards per pass, and by the way, your longest pass attempt is still shorter than the one that you scored a touchdown on, yeah, people are going to have some problems with you. People are going to say that you're not the guy. And I still believe in Jackson Arnold. And I'm not sure if I believe in him at Oklahoma. I believe in him as a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
I believe he can fix it because there's so much talent with him. But at this point, I mean, that was a performance to where I thought for sure things were at least going to trend upward because you got 2 receivers back. You still have good tight end play. I know that you didn't have Javonte Barnes. I know that this was a game to where it was very limited with that, but you still had Taylor Tatum. You still felt really good about the tight ends. Everything was still available for you, and yet you felt like you took a step back in what I know now apparently is not a rivalry to Oklahoma fans. To some people it is. In the matchup, I know you dominated this rivalry. Well, you can't say that right now. In the SEC, you're 0-1. It was not a good look. It wasn't. And it wasn't a good game plan at all by Kevin Johns and Joe John Finley. The play calling, the execution, I know you have the offensive line issues, but my God, like you can't blame that tonight. You just can't. It was just poorly executed, refined passes that were unavailable. And more importantly, the ground game was anemic at best.
Yeah. I mean, the 4 turnovers, the muff punts and stuff like that, that just gets you beat. It's a total recipe for a loss on the road. I mean, look what Georgia was doing. But no, I mean, like you said, they're going to have to go out there and hire a big-time OC. But the problem is everybody's going to know this may be Brent Venables' last season. So I don't know who's going to be walking into that unless you're going to go empty the bank and you're going to guarantee them a 3-year deal. You're going to be paying for them for 2 years if Brent Venables gets fired next year because he's going to be on one of the hottest seats. Because he's staring at right. It's 1-7 in the league play in the face unless he pulls off some big upset, which maybe it happens. But
he's not going to get fired this upcoming offseason. I know that people are going to say just pay the $44 million buyout. It's not going to happen.
Might as well sign his resignation papers if it's like, well, dude, so you just wrote this guy a free check in the summer. Now we're going to fire him. Like, it'd be ridiculous. It'd be the opposite of what I thought Florida did with Billy Napier. No, He's just going to be on the hottest. Him and Hugh Freeze will be on the hottest 2 seats going into.
They deserve it right now.
I don't know who you go hire as an OC who would take that job unless you're just looking for a paycheck because you need a job.
Well, more importantly, if you're going to get that job, you have to pay that paycheck. Like, that's the thing.
You have to overpay for someone good.
That's what I'm saying when it comes to the Oklahoma Boosters, because if you believe that this is still a team that has personnel and you can go out and you can go into the transfer portal and bring in the right recruits for the offensive line, you can continue to bully up the defensive front with guys like Dominic Williams or of that caliber, and you're willing to spend money when it comes to that personnel, you have to be willing to spend the personnel on an offensive coordinator, because it means nothing if this is the execution that we see on Saturdays. Because it's one thing about the talent level, Dave. It's another thing when it comes to the overall execution. There was so many limitations when it came to what was the play calling and what was the designs. And it never felt like Jackson Arnold got comfortable, but it definitely didn't feel like that he was given anything to work with when it came to the overall play design.
No, yeah, I agree. Overall, man, it's just a game. We talked about it. We all 3 picked Oklahoma. It's just a game. You just kind of like, Brave Thunderbolts can just win this, get to 6 because they're already at 5 wins. Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of the benefit of the doubt with the injuries you had. You go 5-7, man, 1-7, and you lose this game when Missouri's playing their second string quarterback who's not performed well. I mean,
he's really their third string too, because Sam Horn's out.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like it's like an Austin Simmons type kid or a DJ Lagway sitting there. I mean, Drew Pines is about to graduate and move on with his life. I mean, give him credit for playing well tonight or efficiently tonight. Man,
he did his part.
I'm an Oklahoma fan and bleeds crimson and cream. We talked about Brian Kelly losing some supporters tonight. This would be one, I think, Brent Venables lost some supporters tonight.
The worst part was that this was the most winnable game left on the schedule. And it was set up for you to at least go 6-6, to finish the year, to go be bowl eligible, to feel like that you have enough of momentum moving into 2025. There is at least a quarterback that is now firmly planted as your future. There are some wide receivers that feel like they will be back next year. There is some overall growth. And it was nothing. It was like that main game never happened. It was like the performance that we saw.
Injuries are some of it on offense. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. It shouldn't be this bad, though, but still, because you've had the issues all year, so you got to figure something out. Dude, I don't know what they have about 2 weeks to probably listen to sports radio around Oklahoma City and hear how bad they are and what Brent Venables is going to make it, which he will this year, but he'll be on a hot seat next year. But what is Memorial Stadium going to be like in 2 weeks when Alabama comes there, dude? There's going to be no energy. There it is. The sign. What's that dog's name called?
Paisley. She also had some thoughts about what was going on with the overall performance from both Mizzou. She's a big Mizzou fan. She can't stand Oklahoma, but she's really upset that Oklahoma delivered a death.
I see the gold tent with her. I see.
Yeah, I say we got her for the Mizzou faithful. But no, at the end of the day, this is one of those performances where you talk about Missouri is still alive, technically. And here's the crazy part, Dave, and we got to bring this up. There is still a scenario where Texas A&M is 10-2, where Ole Miss is 10-2, where Tennessee, depending on the stats of Nico Iamaleava, that's really big moving forward. They're 10-2. Georgia's 10-2. Texas is 10-2. Alabama is 10-2. And Mizzou is 10-2. Yeah. And we got 7 teams. And it's going to be really challenging with the way that the ACC is right now, with the way that the Big 12 is right now, with the scare that we saw today with Boise State against Nevada, that we're not going to have a conversation about what is the right amount of teams from the SEC to go. And I'm not saying for 1 second at all that Mizzou should be the front runner for that. But if chaos occurs, and we are going to talk about the SEC doing its due diligence to deliver performances, and they get a win against South Carolina, and they would have a win against a Vanderbilt team that at one point was ranked top 25, that might get some wins at the down stretch.
Oklahoma, you said it Vanderbilt, or you said Missouri?
Missouri. And Missouri has a double overtime win.
Their best win would probably be Vanderbilt.
Or South Carolina.
Yeah, if they were to beat South Carolina. Right now, Vandy, you're right. If they were to win out, yes. Yeah,
and then you say that their 2 losses were to a Texas A&M team that's in the playoffs and an Alabama team that's in the playoffs. I'm not saying that it has to happen that way. But what I'm saying is that if there is chaos that does occur in the world of college football, Mizzou technically still is in this thing.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you.
They have to be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they'd have to be.
would agree. She would agree.
We agree in the goal. No, I totally agree. So if chaos ensued, yeah, they get back in. They could potentially get back into the thing.
There's a lot that has to happen. And again, you have to get a more stable, I would also say a healthy, either Brady Cook or a better game plan when it comes to the ground rushing attack to where you're taking pressure off of Drew Pine to have to deliver. But there is enough to say that with the performance tonight defensively, and also the big time catches from Brett Norfleet and Theo Wease, and also give a little bit of credit to Luther Burden, because if he did set up that touchdown pass to Theo Wease, big time 30-yard gain, there was enough to say that if Mizzou wins out, big whiff, if they do, and they're 10-2, they're at least going to be in the conversation. I think that there are teams that are playing better than Mizzou right now, but at the end of the day, we are going to take strength of record into conversation. We are going to take strength of competition into the conversation, and we certainly are also going to consider the SEC being another reason why to believe in this roster. Yeah. We have to.
I agree. I mean, you at least got to consider everything at 10-2. I don't think they do. And I mean, it all depends. Brady Cook, I think we know nothing really about that ankle injury or that hand.
Well, he's playing with it throughout the rest of the year. An ankle injury like that is not going to go away.
No, I'm just saying, will they have him at all? It's kind of my thought. I don't really think that's ever been established. It hadn't really been leaked out at all. So that's why I was kind of talking about that.
I'm sorry, Mizzou. Yours truly, biggest bandwagon fan. I am sorry. I failed you. I jumped off the express too late. Hopefully you'll welcome me back on. You may not want to welcome me back on because the second I jump off, you win with Drew Pine, and that's probably a big victory for you. But you're still available. You're 7-2. The best is still ahead. Games down the stretch against Mississippi State, Arkansas, depending on what they look like, against South Carolina, which is going to be a madhouse next week. It's all possible. Everything still is within your reach, which makes you pretty dangerous. In Oklahoma, start looking ahead to 2025, because I honestly don't know if you're going to get another win for the rest of the year. But like, rate, review, subscribe. Make sure that you're following us on the socials, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at SEC Unfiltered. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow Dave at Mock 10 Sports, me at Mr. Cole Thompson. Make sure that you hit that subscribe and ring notification. That way you don't miss Sunday Fun Day tomorrow. Chris Phillips, Dave, and I breaking down the entirety of Week 11 in the SEC. And make sure that you check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. For Dave Shumate, I'm Cole Thompson. MIZ gets a win at home. Peace.